Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. We've seen the rains come and the rains go almost every day here the last couple of months. That does wreak havoc on our homes or offices. If you have water issues of any kind, call Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-579-0356. With over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, their entire team, Water Cleanup of Florida, will be there for you. They were there for my wife and I. Again, they'll be there for you, 954-579-0356. With licensed, certified, insured contractors on staff, they'll not only figure out the issue, they'll not only correct the issue, they'll make it look brand new. It'll be hard for you, who knows what happened, to tell where it happened. Once Water Cleanup of Florida has done what they do oh so well, check them out on their website, WCUFL.com. At Water Cleanup FL on all the socials. And Google is not only your friend, it's their friend, with well over 85-star reviews on Google. Water Cleanup of Florida. Believe me, if you have the schmutz, they have the guts. The Miami Dolphins have been a very gutsy organization. The Damian Lillard saga, it's now become it was a situation. To me, now it's a saga. We talked about it with the man. You've heard podcasts about it the last week plus. Ethan Skolnick, Mr. 5 Reasons, joined us today to really clue us in and maybe give you some more information on what's going on with Damian Lillard and the Miami Heat, plus what's going on with the Miami Heat's rest of the roster, and some more odds and ends with the NBA here, the Defo Show with Lubie, with Ethan Skolnick on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
We welcome the world traveler, although does not appear he's at a hotel room in Las Vegas.
No, not yet.
The great Ethan Scoop Skolnick of 5 Reasons Sports Network to the program here. Were you tempted? Did you go? I mean, did you sniff that first game?
I'm going.
You are going. Okay.
I'm going tomorrow, but I had my daughter this week, so I'm going tomorrow. By the time I go, probably nobody will still be playing, but that's okay. I want to get out there just in case there's a Dame trade or something else along those lines. I'm hoping to see Wemby once. I'm out there for one of his games. It's the same time as the Heat game, but I might have to slip over to the other gym. The way it works in Vegas is the big gym, the small gym, they're connected, concessions in between, so you just kind of rotate between one and the other.
Okay, so two games are taking place at the same time, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Now, if the Heat are playing at the same time as the Wemby game, where are you situated, Ethan?
Well, I have somebody else out there with me, so I think I'm sending him to the Heat, especially because by then I don't know who the Heat are still going to have playing, because Jovic and Jaquez are both banged up a little bit right now, and I feel like in the event, well, not just for yourself, but in the event you're going to include anybody in a trade, you certainly don't want to make anything worse. So I think they're played today, but I don't know that they'll play. The two of them will play. So
could they both be involved in a transaction that brought the?
I mean, they both could be. I don't think they both will be. I think by the time that this thing plays out, and I also don't think that both of them necessarily have great value to Portland. I feel like Jovic has more value to Jaquez than Jaquez does. Jaquez is 22. Jovic is 20. Jovic plays a position that's a little bit harder to fill. I feel like Portland is going to go for Jovic and not Jaquez, but we'll see. I mean, I think in any case, you just don't want to make anything worse right now.
Jovic looks like Dr. Ye, I guess it would be, as he's playing in the Summer League games. And there was always a conversation. I keep hearing, how great this guy is, and yet he never sniffed the floor. It didn't seem to, unless it was garbage time. What do we make of this guy? I mean, what is the real story behind him?
Well, he's talented, but he's young. I mean, we know that Erik Spoelstra is going to make you earn it on the defensive end, or at least in most cases. And, I don't think he was ready from a sort of a spatial awareness thing, to kind of proceed the way that Eric wanted him to. I mean, the offensive skill set is there. It's been there since the beginning. It's also was about getting stronger. He got a lot stronger in during the season. He put on about 15 pounds, most of it muscle. And the important ththing whenever you put on weight like that is that you look comfortable with that weight. And he does. I mean, it looks like he grew into it properly. They didn't rush it. But it's going to give him a lot more physicality in the post. He likes to play out on the perimeter. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like, I feel like he's a guy that if he's with the Heat this year, he's going to contribute. Like, I don't know that he'll start next to Bam, but conceptually he's kind of the perfect fit next to Bam. He's kind of, if you look at a guy who can space and can do all those things, and can play make, can get Bam some of those high-low touches. I think he'd be terrific with the Heat, but is he going to be with the Heat? That's the question.
Well, and that's where we are now, and we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, and I was like, shoot, we're going to miss him. This thing seems to be moving pretty quickly, and then it just sort of died in the weeds, which a lot of the times that happens with the Heat moves. When it gets really loud is when the Heat are like, no, we're not doing anything now. We want it to quiet down. We don't want anyone knowing what the hell we're doing. That seems to be when the Heat move the best, but Dame and the Blazers were making it very loud. Outside of Boston and some national media, it feels like most people are set on Damian Lillard will be eventually a part of the Miami Heat. Where are you with that, and where are we in that? Just, it felt like it was going to happen sometime last week, and now it feels like no one knows when the hell it could happen.
Yeah, look, depending on who you talk to, it either happens now or never in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I just think it's at a point where Portland just realized the gig is up, right? Or the jig is up. I mean, that's where we're at. I just don't think there's really any chance of him being traded somewhere else. I would be stunned at this point. His agent, Aaron Goodwin, has kind of stomped his feet, which is what needed to happen. And look, you can trade for a guy as a no-trade clause. You can tell him to come to camp. And kind of with Kawhi, that's sort of what happened in Toronto. But look, Kawhi also had kind of done the organization wrong with the Spurs by the end. He wasn't playing when they wanted him to play. I mean, Dame didn't do anything wrong. He sat down last year at the end because they wanted to tank the last 2 weeks of the season. So, and he was clear with them from the very beginning, and there's no loyalty in the Blazer fan base to Joe Cronin. He's been there like a year and a half. So I think ultimately they're going to do what Dame wants to do. I just think they're trying to save face, and it's how long does it take before they can do that? So how many teams do they have to talk to find out there's nobody coming? There's nobody Dame's going to go to on that list of teams that may trade for him or has the resources to trade for him. And then ultimately you try to make the best deal you can, and you work with the Heat so that you get something either from the Heat or for another team that the Heat trades someone like Tyler Hero to, so that you can say, okay, we got more than we were supposed to get. I mean, to me, that's kind of where it's at. And so does that take a day, 2 days? I mean, I say it's going to happen Tuesday because I'll be on a stupid Spirit flight without wireless.
So Jesus, no. Are you bringing in luggage, Scoop?
I am. I bring a little bit. I'll bring Dave back. I'll bring Dave back in my luggage. It's gonna be 6 feet 2 inches tall, just in case. Yeah, I think ultimately this thing will get done in the next couple of weeks, and I think it probably gets done in Vegas this week, but we'll see.
Obviously, you don't travel. I mean, being in this business, you tend to travel very lightly in terms of what you take with you. Always assuming that you're going to an American city where if you did forget something or, leave something out, you might be able to purchase it at a reasonable price.
No.
My wife travels with she just puts the wheels on the dresser, right? And so it's always a scene. Now, we haven't flown Spirit in a while, but when we have, I mean, the scene at the scale there when they put your bag on the scale, literally is like a Don King weigh-in. It's unreal, as you see King's fighter coming in there with flab rolled all over the side of his pants, and somehow he comes in at 212. Just the opposite, though. I mean, whatever you have in that suitcase, it's going to weigh over 50 pounds. And then we were talking the other week about the embarrassment. Have you ever been in that situation where you've had to pull like underwear out of a suitcase?
I have.
You were married for a time. I mean, did you fly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, now the packing myself thing is a little bit more problematic. I did do this for 20 years, but I'll forget something for sure.
Yeah, like your computer.
Yeah. Here's my worst forgetting my computer story. I literally was on a plane, I think going from Barcelona to Rome, and I literally left my computer on the overhead compartment. You try to get your computer back after that, so. Yeah.
How did you file the stories?
It ended up finding me 3 cities later in 2 countries.
Shades of Midnight Express. This hashish that you have wrapped around your waist, Mr. Skolnick. I mean, you end up like Brittany Griner there, in some Russian jail running away. All right, the Wemby thing. So far, I mean, I guess the most interesting development out of the first, episode that he had was the signing by Bob Arum of his security guy for knocking down Britney Spears 3 times in a round. So there was that story, and yet every time I've seen this kid in an interview, and this can always break down very quickly with failure, I guess, but he seems so well composed that you thought he might be able to shake off what was somewhat unimpressive, I guess. How would you characterize his debut performance? I mean,
his debut wasn't good. I mean, the second one was much better. Again, what he's saying is right. Like, it's very difficult to play in these summer league games. I mean, you're playing with guys that you hardly played with, you practice with twice. You're not really running anything.
They're trying to make a name for themselves too.
Exactly. And a lot of these guys have played in, high level professional leagues. They're just, or the G League or whatever. They have some physical, limitations that may make them not as good as some of the guys who are become longtime pros, but they know how to play and yet they're not playing right. And so it's a mess. It's the guys who are trying to get theirs. The coaches are not the coaches that you have during the regular season. He's not being coached by Greg Popovich. He's being coached by somebody on Greg Popovich's staff. Right. So it's just a different deal. I think he's going to be fine. I think obviously the biggest issue with him is just whether his body holds up. That's to me is the thing. But, they'll get in a conditioning program. He went to the absolute right organization. So, I mean, I think if he was going to, unproven organization right now, like a Detroit or Orlando or something like that, he's going to San Antonio. They've done this before. I mean, they've done it with Robinson. They did it with Duncan, with Pop there. So I think he's going to be absolutely fine. The biggest thing with him is he's already got to deal with this Britney garbage and all that. I mean, it's going to be the level of expectation. And the kid is really bright and he's very
seems sharp.
Yes. Yeah. And I hope he doesn't have to deal with all the crap, but he will. And that's more the thing. It's not the basketball stuff. I think he's going to be absolutely no problems. He'll have some ups and downs during this season, but he'll likely end up being the rookie of the year.
Yeah, obviously the question would be, is he strong enough to hold up, especially across, the rigors of an 82-game season or whatever number he ends up playing. And we were thinking back to the old days where Ron Rothstein had taught Bill Laimbeer that airplane spin that he put Larry Bird in. And, if this guy gets roughed up consistently, it might be, a problem for him, especially to cope with this year. Pop, by the way, I thought he was finished. Now would you agree, that Greg Popovich is more into Donald Sutherland as an older actor? You say that they are unmistakably
a little bit. I mean, he looks like he's a member of the Night's Watch from
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting really strange looking. What we know, he's been around forever. I mean, it doesn't seem like he has to love it, but he just signed a new 5-year extension. I thought he was getting set to retire.
I thought so too, but I think that's why you're hearing Becky Hammond's name, going to other head coaching jobs and others. I mean, he's got this coaching tree, but everybody left. And I feel like they all left because they kind of knew that there wasn't going to be any place for him to go. The only unfortunate part is Eric Spoelstra was going to become the longest tenured coach of any team in the NBA. I don't know what Eric's going to look like when he gets there. He looks like he's aging a little, but his hair will probably still be jet black. But look, and the number is significant because, now you start to think about what, Spo might get when he gets out to, he's never going to get to the open market, but, what kind of money that they're going to give Spo. They never release it. So he's probably maybe in the neighborhood of $20 million a year, but they're never going to release it. So, look, Pop is the right guy to lead this. I think if they don't get Wemby, then maybe he doesn't stay quite as long. But I feel like, it's the chance to leave another legacy and obviously a chance to maybe win before he's done, which if he got in the second pick, the third pick, the fourth pick, you don't know that. So
before we wrap up things with you, I did want to bring it back to the Dame stuff because I know you guys have been potting like 5 times a day and it's been pretty much centered around that. At least for our points, we're presuming it's happening, right? Okay. And the Thomas Bryant move and Richardson move actually seemed very interesting to pick up spots where they needed people after losing Vincent, Strus, and they needed a big desperately when you were putting Zeller, who hadn't played basketball in 2 years, in the finals. You needed some size. What other things could you see them doing? Because it feels like they want to make some other moves, but right now they're not waiting for Lillard. How else do you see them finishing off the roster?
Yeah, I think the major moves were Brian and Robinson. Brian and Richardson. I feel like they'll look at other shooters. We talked about Landry Shamet as a guy who I'm not in love with, but I mean he could be a shooter they add to the roster. I don't think there's anybody that's going to be a top 8 guy. There could be somebody who comes back in this trade. We'll see. I don't know about the Nurkic part of this. I feel like they may get away with not having to do that and take his money back. He could contribute for them, but it's just a lot of money. But look, we talked about a guy named Josh Christopher. I mean, there's some low-level names here. Danilo Gallinari is a name they could circle back to again for the millionth time, maybe in a trade. Sadiq Bey is a name I know they've checked into, but I think that would require a little bit more. But look, I think obviously if you get Dame, it's just about who's left, right? And then you start to put the pieces around him. And we did a podcast last night on the different options that they could play with Dame, Jimmy, and Bam, depending on who's left. They could start. If Caleb's there, then he likely starts. If he's not, then Josh Richardson likely starts. In some lineups, you might have Love start. I think there's a case for Duncan Robinson to start. Honestly, I know Brady likes that one. As long as you have a defensive four, and maybe it's Haywood Highsmith starts with him. So I think there's a lot of different ways they can go. But I think that any way that you look at it, they're going to be in really good shape. I mean, I don't think they need to make a major addition to this roster if they get Dame. I think people are kind of forgetting they got Shaq in 2005, and Damon Jones looked like an all-star for half of the season. Like if you get great players, the role players will fit. Like I'm not concerned. And Josh Richardson is a high-level role player, and if they keep Caleb Martin, so is he. So I mean, beyond those five, what do you really need? I feel like that they'll be able to pull it. Maybe it's a couple of these developmental guys. They like Chase Audich. I think Bouye or however you pronounce his name. They like him too as sort of a creator point guard. So their roster, they will be the favorites in the East if they get Dame Lillard.
All right, you're heading to Las Vegas, Las Wages, Sin City. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be watching Summer League basketball. And a couple of things real quickly here. And we always thank you for coming on the show. Number one, congratulations. I mean, you're like eclipsing Draymond Green's podcast.
They're literally getting top
in
five
terms
podcasts
of viewers,
country, which is freaking amazing.
Top 5 NBA podcasts. I mean, and there are a lot of guys out there that have really interesting stuff. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I've told the story a few times. I didn't witness this last trip out to Atlantic City, which I came home on Saturday, but and Lubie was amazed by this. I was in, you'll find this surprising, a bar near the sports book. And I'm listening to these two guys pouring over statistical information and conferencing heavily about who they were going to bet on that night. And I thought, wow, these guys really seem like they know what they're doing. I mean, it was almost like listening to Bill James as he was putting together the baseball abstract. And I thought, well, they must have some insight into some baseball games. I'm just going to ask them, hey, if you don't mind, I mean, like, who do you like tonight? Which I would rarely do. And so they said, no, we're not betting baseball. We're betting Summer League basketball. Is that advisable, Ethan Skolnick, in your opinion? Or how quickly, never mind propositions and parlays, how quickly will the American public be separated from its money if it's betting Summer League basketball?
Well, I was separated last night when I played this because I've been playing the unders on the stars out there because I figure they're going to get those guys out as quickly as possible.
Oh, wow. I mean, see, there it is. I mean, you fall into the category.
Oh, no, I am. I see Mayo's commentator started like roulette or blackjack. Actually, she was playing Go Fish at the bar the other night at Quarterdeck. He wants to go join. And then
don't let her hang out with Mayo, by the way. He is a sicker degenerate than most people ever imagine.
You have rabbit ears in your come here. Okay, all right, hold on. So say no.
Bring her on the show.
We don't have time to get ready. We're literally ending the show. Okay, we gotta go.
All right. I know you gotta run.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So you're involved, is what you're saying.
If you listen to anything we do, we love our degeneracy, and 5 reasons Sports Network is big on helping you and getting involved in the world of gambling. Well, Scoop himself is dabbling on some things with Summer League basketball. We've seen Wemby play poor. We've seen Wemby play well. We've seen Jovic play pretty well. We've seen Hawkins Jr. have his moments for the Miami Heat. Now he seems like is out with a slight injury issue. Will Jovic, Hawkins Jr. be in the trade? Scoop couldn't answer that with us. I'm sure he hasn't answered it with you. He thinks the trade's going to happen sooner than later because it feels like the Blazers have sort of realized the Heat are what is there. The Heat, no, they do have to give them something, or this could go on a little bit too long. I'm hoping in the next week or so this is done because there are some interesting pieces out there. Look, getting Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant with what you have left after this trade, you'll have Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. So whatever else you throw in there, like he said, the tertiary guys seem to do pretty well when they're surrounded by all-stars. So whoever the Heat have, it seems like they're going to do pretty well. We're all waiting on pins and needles till this thing is done, and it feels like it will be done sooner or later. Sooner or later, we will definitely talk more about that. The Miami Marlins have had a tremendous first half. They are the second best team record-wise in all of the National League, fourth best team record-wise in all of baseball. Yes, that is true at the All-Star break. So we'll talk lots more about the Miami Marlins. You can always check us out each and every morning on South Florida Live, the Defo Show with Lubie, our whole 2-hour extravaganza. Check us out on our national podcast whenever we do that. Believe.com, BLEAV.com, search after hours. And here with our South Florida content, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.